Good morning, everybody. Coming to you live from the Love's truck stop somewhere on I-75. Um, anyway, this is the end of week 7 for the legislative session. That means silly season has officially begun as we do the last 2 weeks. All the non-appropriations committees will cease meeting next week. So any bills that haven't gotten that far probably um, have a very good chance. But
Yeah, this thing's not connected.
okay. So starting at House Bill 619, this is our CEI bill, sovereign immunity. That has passed the full House as of yesterday. And I will go ahead and tell you there's a lot of bills you're going to see on this report today that they had action taken yesterday. And if there were any changes made, those had not posted when I put the report together last night. So some of these might be a little bit out of date. I updated all the ones I could. But anyway, our bill has passed the House. It's in messages to the Senate now. Um, what will happen there is the Senate will lay their bill on the table, take up House Bill 619 and pass it out, probably hopefully next week. So we should be good there. It'll be on its way to the governor. Once they pass, it can be a little bit of time before it actually goes to the governor. They usually send bills over in batches, and that can go on, for 2 or 3 months after session ends. So we'll just be patient. But the bill does take effect July 1st. So they'll have it done by then. Um, so we're all good there. We've spent a lot of time the last couple of weeks on Senate Bill 266. Pay special attention to the bill underneath that, 287. I have that dark for a reason, and that is it's one that has passed. I didn't want people clicking on an old bill because it changed significantly. Our issues with that bill were in the liability section. It just appeared to us that the contractors were limiting their liability at the expense or the possible expense of the design engineer. All that message was removed in the House bill. It's still contained in the Senate bill, but Senator Hooper has agreed to take that out, all of that language. So we should be in good shape there. As soon as we have that language, I'll send it out to most of you so that you can see the bill, see if there's anything else in there that's of concern. This bill, I would say, is getting kind of heavy. I don't think the trial lawyers are fully satisfied. So John was saying yesterday, he was, this bill may not make it anyway. But we'll see. But I think we got all of our stuff that we didn't like out of that bill. So doing well there. Uh, House Bill 149, that's the continuing contract bill, still the same as it was. Construction in continuing contract, the threshold for construction would be 7.5 million instead of 4. That was the one that had the geotech language in it early on, and that was removed. So we're good with that one. It's on special order in the House, so they can take that up anytime. And it just passed out of fiscal policy, its final stop on the Senate side yesterday. So, alternative mobility funding, that's one I've had on here for a while, but we had some problems with it at first, but have determined that it wasn't what we thought, and so we're okay with that one. It's on second reading in the House. Yeah, in the House. So it should be taken up probably next week. In the Senate side, it's got its final committee stop on the 26th. So that'll be moving forward, it looks like. Sovereign immunity bill that takes the threshold from 200,000 to 400,000. It passed its second committee yesterday. Still looking, on rules. I looked up last week. I had the Senate bill or the House bill 569. I still have question marks there because when I go to the site, it still just says it was on the agenda for the 14th, but doesn't tell me what happened. So I'll keep watching that one just to make sure. We don't necessarily like that bill, but it's kind of dragging along, although it's moving right now. We'll continue to watch that one. 1032, all the language related to abolishing the Transportation Commission has been removed. Uh, so I hear some people are the cities and counties are not liking this bill because of what it does with the MPOs. Excuse me. And so they continue to fight this bill. Still got one more stop in the Senate. Passed out of the last House committee yesterday. 1226 and 1301. We talked about this one 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's a priority of the governor. So it's on the agenda and its final stop in the Senate next week on the 27th. It's on the special order calendar in the House. It could be taken up there next week. Derek, do you have anything else on that one?
I don't, Alan. I mean, it's slated to get through. They fixed it on both sides, so they're lined up pretty well.
Okay, so the airports and the seaports, all their
Yeah,
stuff got fixed. Okay,
everybody's good to go.
all right, good. And then I'll just keep you going here on the aviation bill.
The aviation bill, that's also going pretty well. This is Senator Harrell and the Representative Bankson's bill. This is the advanced air mobility legislation. And so yesterday, Senator Harrell actually did an amendment to her bill, kind of get a little bit closer. There's still some differences in the wording in both bills, but they're both slated to get to the finish line. The governor's office is pretty engaged on this as well. They made adjustments. The original bill was very favorable to the Orlando airport. The new language now opens it up where Tampa now can be a competitor as well, and so that alleviating those airport concerns. But the two sponsors are still um, at stylistic differences in that regard. So the House has passed their bill to get over to the Senate in hopes that Harold will just pick it up and pass it out. See how that plays out. But the industry itself, I think for the most part, they feel like the differences are minor, and so let's just get the bill done and get it to the governor. Is kind of their mindset.
Gotcha. And then finishing up, we have the licensing bills. There was a third bill on here, and I forget what the number was, but I took it off because it hasn't moved, and they've lined these two bills up. Not totally, they're not identical, but they're getting closer. And this is, the interstate mobility, or some people call it universal licensing. I spoke with Zana because they took a lot of the language from Senate Bill 1600 and amended it on to 1273 last week. 1273 got removed from its second committee and just went, to the Commerce Committee where it was passed last week. It's on special order now. There's a number of groups that are against this. Our problem is there's language in there that Zana doesn't like and our board doesn't like, that if they deny an application for licensure for somebody coming out of state because the criteria between the states is different. It would go to the secretary of DBPR, who could overrule that decision. Of course, they don't like it, but Dana says it doesn't happen very often, and she doesn't think the secretary would approve it because if they don't meet our criteria, they just don't meet it, and so they can't get the license. But they'd like to see that taken out. I don't know if there's time or how the the, the sponsors, would what they would think of that. I know like I said, there's a lot of groups fighting this that have problems with this bill, so it might weigh down anyway. But it appears to be moving pretty well. But a lot of times these licensing bills they make it to the floor and then they don't make it through. So we'll just see what happens with this one, and if we have a chance, we'll see if we can get that language removed. That's all I have. Anybody have any questions?
Alan, this is Derek. The one thing I'll give for the record as well is we're hearing that budget conference will begin early next week. I
Mhm.
think they're trying to get started on Monday. Wouldn't be surprised if they don't start until Wednesday, but they will be starting next week. And it'll be a pretty rapid budget conference because they'll need to have the budget agreed upon and on the desk of the members by Tuesday the 5th in order to finish on time, which they're still slated to finish on time.
Yeah. How are they doing? Are they pretty lined up, or they've got a lot to work
Well,
out?
they're the big number wise, they're not that far off. They just haven't issued allocations yet, so they'll be working on that over the weekend. Even the speaker and the president, both in their post-session press avails yesterday, spoke to discussions are ongoing as relates to getting to allocations, but they both were encouraged able to get there.
Alan,
Okay.
this is John. This is John. They're
Uh-huh.
about 400. They're about 400 million apart total, but within that, they've got the probably criminal justice might be the biggest area of policy disagreement. But I mean, I'm in Derek. I think they'll resolve it pretty quickly.
Can they allocate some for me?
Yeah. Just you may have covered it early on, but the big thing driving all this was the speaker and the president's number one priorities. So the Live Healthy bills to the governor, and then yesterday they sent HB1, the speaker's social media bill to the governor. Interestingly, because it's in session, he has 7 days to act on it. So you're going to know while they're in session whether he signs it or vetoes it. Once those priorities were passed by both chambers, that put him in a posture to start dialoguing on the budget.
Okay. Cool.
Right. Good deal.
Anybody else got any questions? All right. Well, we're coming to the finish line. We look like we're in pretty good shape so far. Knock on wood. The last 2 weeks can be somewhat exciting. So everyone have a great weekend. And for those that are going to the EEA Awards tonight, I will see you there.
Thanks, Alan. Have a great weekend.
See you there. Take care.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you, guys.